All right, we're here with Coach Brownell at the ACC Spring Meetings. Coach, first question. You guys kicked it off yesterday, hearing from NCAA president, giving you guys updates on how things were going with the settlement talks. What did you get out of that?
Mostly still wait and see, but it does sound like progress is being made. I think we're hopeful that there will be a settlement, so that we can try to move forward as best we can with the current situation. Hopefully, make it a little bit better, but there'll still be changes to adjust or adapt to. But still a lot of wait and see, really.
I know reports came out yesterday saying talked a lot about the football side of that, but what do y'all know about the basketball side of that?
Not a lot. We haven't gotten into the specifics of any of it. I don't know that they even got into a lot of specifics with football. Maybe football coaches met, separately and got a little more intel. I think we're still meeting with some folks here later that may give us a little better insight. I know we have not met with athletic directors to kind of get some insight from them on how it would affect us. I thought most of what President Baker talked about was general terms.
You've had to adjust to the new landscape in college basketball. May not like it all, may not agree with it all, but you've done a fantastic job adjusting to the portal. You've had good NIL support, which is a piece of that. Can you just talk about how you've adjusted and how that is helping you?
I don't think, I've always been a guy that, tries to find transfer players that we think meet our needs when we needed them. Certainly no better team than maybe our first Sweet 16 team in 2018 with Marquise Reed, Shelton Mitchell, Elijah Thomas, David Scarra at one time, Mark Donnell. I mean, we've had guys, throughout my tenure that some of those guys had to sit out, and we just viewed that as opportunity for us to develop them back when there was transfer sit out. And then Mark Donnell was one of our first grad transfers that was able to play right away. So we've always used that method when necessary to supplement our roster. Certainly at the same time, love the development piece of working with young men to make them better both on and off the court and spending time with them and kind of growing them up a little bit. Love that aspect and still try to have a homegrown feel, if you will, to our teams. Certainly these last couple teams have had a lot of homegrown players that were a big part of it, like last year's Elite Eight run with all those guys. But, so when the portal started and immediate eligibility followed, it's not something that was much different for us in terms of having to change what we do. It's just, I think what we really try to do is just find kids that fit what we need. And I think we're very honest with them in our approach in the recruitment so that they know that this is what we have to offer and where we think they can help, how we think we can help them moving forward. And so we've been able to add some good pieces over the last several years that way as well. And that was fun this year, obviously, with Jack and Joe and Boz, a couple guys that came out of the portal, and we've added a few more for next year's team.
What do you look for there? Obviously, the portal, money, NIL, all that tied together. You got to find a good player, but you also got to find a guy that wants to be a part of a team like you did with Gerard last year.
Yeah, I think a big piece is fit, right? Do we think that they fit our culture? Do we think they fit our locker room? Do we think they fit our style of play? Do we have a need for what they're good at so that they can help make us better? That's all a part of all this. And it takes, speed dating certainly in terms of trying to find that information as much as you can.
Right.
And it's certainly a whirlwind for your staff because your staff is making thousands of calls and trying to do your due diligence, your homework to get background information on players. And, sometimes you're lucky. There are kids that you know a little bit better, like Joe Girard was somebody we competed against. Jack Clark was somebody we competed against. So on the surface, we had a great feel for their talent as a player, but you still want to get to know them as people and understand they're going to fit in your locker room, and I think that's a huge part of this moving forward.
Speaking with that, I think official now with Reeves being signed, so you can talk about him. So,
Yeah.
what does he bring to the program, and kind of how do you plan to try to use him next season?
Yeah, I think, really happy about signing Christian. Number one, just you get a 7'1" guy, 255 pounds. You get a big guy that, has been at the level. He hasn't played much, and obviously he's had several injuries during his career, so we've got to be very patient with him. We've got to be careful with him. But a 7'1" guy who can catch and block shots and play around the rim is somebody that could be special one day. And so it's going to take time. We got to develop him, but I also think sometimes guys get a fresh start, and there's an enthusiasm that comes with a fresh start, maybe a different voice. We just talked to him about, hey, we're going to be patient with you. This is a process. We're committing to you for 2 to 3 years, and want to take it step by step. But we think you can develop into a really good player at this level, and you need to start with just being healthy. And we've got to build his confidence back a little bit, just in terms of both being healthy and being productive. But he's a guy that we had tracked. He'd been to campus as a young player. We had him on campus for an unofficial visit, so he knew a little bit about Clemson, and we'd met his parents. And so when we had him back down, it was almost like you could kind of rekindle a friendship a little bit there. And I think it helped in us getting him is that we did have a little bit of a small prior relationship, and that they had seen our team play. We're familiar with Clemson and our recent success, and so it was a lot of fun, and certainly we're excited about having him in Tigertown.
Robert was mentioning the success you've had. I know you always had this phrase you say, your success of your team's always as good as your locker room.
Yeah.
How do you try to build that when, especially in this day and age, when so many guys are coming in or me guys, and you got to change that? How do you get that to fit your locker room?
Yeah, it's really challenging. You have to have great leadership on the inside. I can't thank P.J. Hall, Hunter Tyson enough these last couple of years, Chase Hunter, for those guys just having, first of all, being very good leaders and being guys that are very welcoming of their future teammates, trying to have them involved some in the recruiting process of these players so that they have some ownership in it and they feel like they're a part of the recruitment process of bringing guys to campus who they want to play with. I think that's vital. There's an acceptance there. And then I think what happens too is if you've got a good core of players back and who are here and you've had some success, the new guys that come in just learn this is our culture. This is what they see. This is how we work. These are our standards. And they don't really ask too many questions. They just kind of observe and fall in line. And there's no, every once in a while you'll see one of our guys, hey, coach doesn't like that, you shouldn't be doing that, or this, that, or the other. So there's things that they almost handle before we even have to get involved. And I'm talking about basketball stuff more than anything, or maybe it's an approach in the weight room, or, we're on time. Believe me, we're on time. And so some other places you come 5 minutes late, that doesn't work well with us. So just little things that I think your players solve some of those problems for you because they're involved in the process, they're invested. And then if you have great leadership, then those kids, I think most guys want to just be a part of a good team as long as they feel like they have a role and, they're being coached and they're getting better. They're willing to listen and work and want to be successful, and they like the guys they're around. And we've had such a good locker room with good people that I think it's been very refreshing for some of the guys that have transferred here.
Last offseason, there was a lot of talk about schedule and working that after what had happened the previous season. How do you feel about what you're seeing for the schedule for next year?
Yeah, thankfully we have a lot of repeat games. The South Carolina game, the ACC, SEC Challenge game coming back. We go to Boise, who should be good again. We have Memphis coming to Clemson, which will be a really good game. We're still working on a couple bye games. We're involved in a neutral court tournament down in Florida that we're still finishing up who's going to be involved in that. So we'll see. Not sure if we're going to be able to squeeze in a neutral site game this year or not. We've done that the last several years, but it's been a little challenging with our our schedule. We just don't have very many good dates for that. So I think it'll still be good, be competitive, and we need our league to continue to provide enough quad 1 and 2 games so that you don't end up short at the end when you're, if you make the bubble, almost like what happened to us a couple years ago, where your league maybe doesn't give you quite as many. This year our league was underrated, clearly. NC State, the 10th place team in our league, goes to the Final Four. We finished 5th or 6th or whatever it was, and I think 6th, and we go to the Elite 8. It just and we did actually have a lot more quad 1 and 2 games, and so I'm hopeful, and it looks like that our league is going to be pretty good again. We've had Joe Lenardi meeting with our group, men's basketball group, and he's kind of done a little bit of a deep dive and a little bit of a preview on a lot of the teams in our league, and seems to think that the league looks pretty good again this year. So you kind of cross your fingers as the coach and hope that your schedule's as tough as you need it to be or want it to be to give you enough good games to give yourself a chance to make the tournament.
I know since the Elite 8, you've been on a whirlwind.
Yeah.
Have you had any time to reflect on it and enjoy what you guys
No,
accomplished?
not as much as I would like. Not much. It's just head's been down most days. I have had a couple Saturdays. I think I've had 2 Saturdays when I've been able to kind of just relax and get away. But I really haven't been able to do anything with our staff. I really want to do something with our staff. At some point when we get our roster completed, and the crazy thing is the guys will all be coming back, and we'll probably start workouts in June. So the first week in June we'll be right back to our 8 weeks of work, and so we'll be back on that regular basis. But it's obviously been fun. I'm super happy for our players and fans and staff, and it's been a really good spring. There's been a lot of work, but still riding the high of that run was fun, and hopefully want to build on it.
How great is it, though, for you when you came into Clemson and what it was like and what you wanted to see this program become, to now here we are, mid-May, and we're talking to you about Clemson basketball, and people out there, the fans, are talking about Clemson basketball.
Yeah, really proud of that. Obviously, it started many moons ago. I've talked about that with all the facility improvements and the commitment by the university to basketball, and Dabo and everybody talks about we have terrific alignment, and it takes everybody involved to have a really good basketball program. You can't just, to be consistently good, you have to have everybody every year fighting for your program, and that's challenging sometimes. We've got a lot of other sports. We got football's obviously takes a lot of our energy and all those things. But if you're producing a good team, then the fans will get behind you. And part of that is having the facilities and the support and the things necessary to support your players. And I think we've gotten to that point now. It's really exciting. I think it's an exciting time for our program, and not quite ready to get started again, but coming soon.
All right.